Eremos is more than a name. It's a way of life. It's our sanctuary, our escape from the noise, and our connection to the deeper meaning of our lives. It's about finding joy in the outdoors, seeking growth, and leaving the world a better place than we found it. Welcome to Elevate and Explore, a podcast where we dive into the beauty of nature, self-discovery, and the endless possibilities that come with living intentionally. Welcome to our journey.
Hunting, guys.
Caught us a little shark.
Yeah.
A bunch of them. Had about 100 sharks right at our toes, and we dang stuck them right in the face. That was awesome.
This one's going to the dinner table.
That's right.
All right, congratulations, Ryan Hunter.
Yeah, good job, buddy. This is awesome.
Ryan's got a big
Come around
fish.
me, buddy. Or you're good. He's coming back live.
How about a shark on the fly rod, Hunter? Yeah, buddy. Look at them all.
There you go. This is crazy. Look at all the sharks.
Sharks everywhere.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Aaron,
And I'm Ryan.
and this is the Elevate and Explore podcast. Welcome back for another awesome episode. Today it's just Ryan and I, and we're just going to do a little weekend recap. Ryan was just down in Florida for a couple days. Let him touch on that. And then I was just down at the shore this past weekend. Opening day of Flounder was on Sunday. So we both were able to have a little bit of adventure the past couple days. So tell us about your Florida trip. I know you've told me about it, and it sounds like it was freaking awesome. You loved it. It was beautiful weather. You caught a lot of fish. What was your highlight? Or start from the beginning, actually.
Let's start from the beginning. So, aside from the fishing, in this growth mindset and trying to figure out things in life, you sometimes have to take a chance. So, months and months ago, I did a project, submitted it, and out of nowhere, I got this random call from a equipment salesman from a rental company, and it was just ironic that he's, hey, Joe, just checking in to see what your equipment needs are. If you ever need anything, just call me. And I was like, rather than calling you, why don't we go out to lunch? So took this guy out for lunch. Truly great guy. He's actually scheduled to be on the podcast at some point whenever his schedule cools down a little bit. But anyway, we conducted business together, and we rent most all of our equipment from him right now through their company. And just out of the blue the other day, he's like, hey, we're going down to the Cape with my dad. Do you want to go fishing with us? Well, let's see how this week goes, and I'll give you an answer towards the end of the week. And I think a couple of days go by. I got the equipment set up at the job. I said, well, now that you got the equipment set up, let's go fishing. So we jumped in the truck, drove about 7 hours, or I was in the truck about 7 hours. Drive down from him was only about 5 hours. And we had some fantastic food Friday. Fresh raw oysters were the highlight on Friday. I'm going to break out the highlights by each day because there was a different one, and it only does each of them justice.
Well, real quick, where in Florida did you go?
Port St. Joe, west coast of Florida, just out on the Cape. Beautiful area. That's the furthest south I've ever been, honestly. Well, furthest south on the East Coast, at least. I've never been to Florida, so going there and just getting down there was fantastic. And we stopped, we had dinner, we had some fresh oysters, some live music, beautiful calm weather. There was hardly any wind, water was glass calm, and we just sat, talked, and had all kinds of fun. And he had a connection who just family friend for years gave him a fly rod. So we're sitting in the kitchen. It's about like 10:30 at night. We're rigging up some rods. And he said, the one thing I really want to catch on this is I want to catch a shark on the fly. So the next morning we got up really bright and early, got lunches packed the boat, got out on the water. And within the first couple minutes out on the water, like we realized how dead calm it was. There was no wind. There was a little bit of hazy fog, just super peaceful. And I caught a 24-inch trout. We caught another one about 24 inches. Didn't find any redfish. And Saturday, just great, great connection, great people, fantastic time. Couldn't have gotten better, even if we didn't catch any fish. And then started getting hot. We start heading across the bay, and we see these spinning sharks jumping up out of the water. Bright blue, silvery, just really cool to watch. And there's one after another, after another, after another. And it's like, hey, we need to really stop and try and catch one of these things. So we kind of pull up and just drift into the school a little bit. And Hunter throws this big red popper. Well, the cork on the popper was about 2 inches long, and probably about 5 inches long in total. Smacks on the water a couple times. Now the sharks got this frenzy going, and they're circling the boat, and there's dozens, if not hundreds, of sharks. There's big bull redfish. There's big ripple red drums. There's big sharks. There was a 9-foot bull shark that swam right underneath the boat, which was really cool. And then there's just handfuls of these 3 to 6 footers. So he hooks one, I hooked one, we both lost it. So now we're panic mode, trying to get steel leaders and hooks and rig up rods and putt along a little bit further. We catch the school up again, and we had about a half-hour fight, just all in total, between the both of us, doubled up. He's on the front of the boat, I'm on the back of the boat, I'm on the front of the boat, he's on the back of the boat. We're both fishing off the side, both fishing together. Got these sharks tangling up, and the school of sharks is still just following the ones around that we have on the hook. They're not going anywhere. And pull both of them in the boat. I ended up taking one. I got I don't know, it was 5.5 foot black tip. Went out to the beach. We jumped off the boat, and the water was just, it could not have been better. It was crystal clear, nice and cool. Sand between your toes, hot day, and you're just sitting in the water. We're looking for sand fleas. We dug up a bunch of them, seashells, sand dollars, starfish, everything else we brought home with us too. And we hopped back in the boat, and he's like, we got some pompano jigs. Now, I have not caught a whole lot of saltwater fish, so I have no idea what we're even talking about, but we're going to go catch one. Dad hasn't caught one in 15 years. So we're just drifting through this little channel in between the shoals, and I'm ripping jigs, and I was like, there's these big schools of bait fish. It's only a matter of time before I snag one. And, you speak something into reality, or speaking it into existence. I sure snagged this bigger ladyfish, and he thought that was the funniest thing ever, because he's like, of all people that talk about snagging, he's like, you just snagged one. So drift along a little bit further, caught a really nice pompano. And then these bait fish are just kind of chilling out in this area. And all these ladyfish are just really aggressive. They're all schooled up. And we realized that, we should probably just try and catch those, because at least it would be consistent. So we probably caught, I don't know, 100 of these things between just little bully bugger jigs and flies. And it was enough to make your arm tired. And they fought like little tarpon. They are darting all over the place, jumping up out of the water, really aggressive. They dive and dig deep, and they're just so much fun. So we laughed the whole entire time we were catching these things. It was just so much fun. We couldn't even handle ourselves. Sun shining, beautiful day. And on the fly rod, they were amazing. It was the perfect training ground to catch things on, because you could get a perfect cast, you can learn your strip, you can learn your your line management, and you could fight a fish that was pretty aggressive. And we had 8 and 10 weight rods, so ton of fun. Sunday the fishing wasn't as great, but we had leftover dinner, so we ate crab legs and shrimp on the boat on Sunday, and then packed our stuff up and we headed home. So we came home, cleaned
real
some
quick,
fish. Yep.
Let's rewind a little bit. You missed a part. So Saturday morning, when you were getting ready to go fishing, Hunter, or Friday night, he was talking about his fly rod and really wanting to catch a shark. What happened with that?
He caught one. He
He
hooked
talked it
one.
into existence. It happened.
Yeah, he talked it into existence. All right, because he's I got the video and his dad's like, Hunter, grab your fly rod, and then the next video is like, strip, 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 and then the next one is just spool just fall out, just unwinding on the shark, just rip and drag.
Awesome.
So it was so much fun. He was so happy. Like it was just one of these incredible experiences. Just this frenzy of sharks, hundreds
Yeah.
of them, just around the boat for no rhyme or reason. It's not like they were feeding, or maybe they were mating, or who knows what they were doing. But it was just perfect timing. So yeah, talking it into existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you mentioned to me, going down there, you kept offering to pay for gas, you kept offering to pay for food, and they just said, "Oh no, we got it." And you mentioned about how just blessed it was to be able to have an opportunity like that, and how he looks as just wanting to share what he has been able to achieve and what he's been able to build, and just wants to share that with people.
100%. Yeah, we I tried, let me pay for fuel, let me pay for snacks, let me pay for dinner. Do you want me to get anything at the bait store? Nope. Nope. Just, do you need anything? No, I'm good. I'm just here as a guest. I don't even know what I need. Like, I'm just happy to be here. And I mean, again, it had nothing to do with the monetary amount tied to it. Like, if that was a guided trip, we definitely could have spent a couple $100 on it. And I can fully stand behind it when I say that it would not have been as much fun. Just spending time with some good people,
Mm-hmm.
so many great conversations, and talking about everything in life. And um, I dealt for a day or two there, was like, how am I going to pay back for this? How am I going to reimburse them for a trip like this? And it, kind of dawned on me. It's like, one of the reasons you want to be successful, or most people want to be successful, is to help others. It has nothing to do with going down there and catching fish. I mean, for me to bring home, a shark and a couple trout fillets, you can go buy them at the store if that's what it's about. But to go down and catch fish after fish after fish, and laughter and great stories and just camaraderie, and this, just truly blessed type of trip where it's like the sun's shining, the wind's died down, and the water's calm. Like, you have absolutely nothing else on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you give back? How do you reimburse that kind of trip? He doesn't need anything from me. Like, there's no amount of money I could offer him that was going to make that trip any better for him. He was more excited watching his son and friend catch fish on the front of his boat, and have that moment that you can't
Mm-hmm.
buy, right? Can't pay for that kind of fun. So, it's like, how do you give back? Well, you're not giving it back to him. You're paying it forward on the next one. So, your story of success, you go out and you're going to work your butt off, and you're going to learn all these life lessons, and you're going to go out and really just experience as much as life has to give, and the good, the bad, the ugly. You're going to take that. You're someday going to say, hey, why don't you come out? Why don't you spend time on the boat? Get your mind off stuff. Go catch some fish. That is what it was about, and not, how am I going to reimburse this man? How am I going to reimburse these guys for this
Mm-hmm.
trip? It had no monetary value tied to it. It was just a blessing of an experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what success should be about, is the money. Making money helps you be able to share those things with other people and create those memories and do things with other people, be able to bless people and take people out to do those things. Too many people are chasing the money. It's more having the money to help you share life with other people, share experiences with other people. Life is so much more meaningful when you can share opportunities, when you can share experiences. So I absolutely love that, and so happy you had that opportunity to be able to connect with someone and go down to North Florida and the freaking west coast of Florida, and oh, it's beautiful down there. So I'm just
Oh,
so happy for you. You were
or,
able to experience that.
I mean, that's, we've talked about it in podcasts and personal life. Just experiences of life. You know, I thought there for a long time that I didn't have any blessings. Didn't have a father, and I didn't have a boat, and I didn't have a shore house, and I didn't have this. And it took, I would say, every bit of 15 years to realize you don't need any of that stuff. You just need to have a good outlook on life and just be willing to accept, you know, the good in things, and be willing to accept the bad in things and learn from the bad, and, you know, definitely learn from the good. But it's not the pursuit of a materialistic item that you're after, or a pursuit of the experience. It's the experience of giving it back to somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think of our friendship over the course of years, that I never had anything to offer to you, but you invited me into your home, and we had multiple different outings on the boat. Some days we caught fish and some days we didn't, but that's why it's called fishing and not catching.
Not catching. That's right.
So, you know, and then to go out and experience some of the West, and then I feel like I gave back to you in a sense. You know,
Oh,
we went out west
absolutely.
and had our deer hunt, and then, you know, to take your brother out. That was, you know, we still have to get Nick a big mule deer. And
Yes.
when he's listening to the podcast, he'll know that he's next in line. So,
Yeah,
mule
no,
deer,
that's
antelope.
exactly. You've certainly been able to pay me back. You know, inviting me to go out west with you, and you know, you doing most of the lake work, and you know, I just kind of pack all my shit in the truck, and all right, don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to this GPS point, and Ryan's got the whole plan figured out, and you know, I trust him wholeheartedly. So you know, you putting together those trips and do such a phenomenal job at it. You know, that's, I don't want to say pay me back, but just I appreciate that so much, and that's you know, it's friendship is about, is sharing and inviting each other on into experiences. You know, I have my opportunities, you have your opportunities, and you know, we can bring each other into each of them, and you know, share them with each other and share them with other people then too.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, I've said it 100 times, is it's not about the deer. I mean, like we talked about so many times, is our trip out west, it was the campfire cooking, it was the laughter, it was the jokes, and the random stuff that happened. That's the memory, right? That was creating the memory. You will never remember how much money you spent on something. You will remember an exact time, date, and experience when it's meaningful like that. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember how much dinner cost, but I would absolutely remember catching those sharks on that boat. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's where the memories come from. So
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, so like this past weekend, you know, I was down at the shore down South Jersey, got my boat in the water Saturday. Started raining when I put the boat in, but the rest of the day was decent, and you know, hung out Saturday, got ready for Sunday. Sunday morning, I woke up a little late, woke up at 5:30 instead of 5. Got out, I was on the water, had my line in the water at 6:11 Sunday morning. It was decent, it was windy, but I knew it was going to be a crappy day. You know, I went out in my rain gear, man, drift. I couldn't tell you how many drifts I did till I finally caught a flounder. I probably fished for an hour and a half till I caught my first fish. And man, I caught a 17-inch. So this year the limit, it's you know, minimum 18, and it was 17 and a half. And man, that freaking fish hit my hook so hard, I would have sworn it was going to be like a 30-inch fish. It bent, you know, I got it up. It had bent the hook. It hit so hard, freaking broke the first eye on my rod. Like, it just hit like a freaking freight train. It was such a thrilling experience. And you know, it was so close. I was really close to keeping it. I was like, nope, that's gonna give me bad juju the rest of the season. Nope, not doing it. So, you know, threw it back, and then you know, just start dumping. And you know, throughout that time, you know, I was thinking, you know, so for years, opening day, I would always fish with my grandpa. I'd always be there out with at least my grandpa, or my grandpa and a couple of his buddies. And you know, anymore, most of the fishing I do by myself. And a lot of time, I really enjoy it. It's nice to have your own piece, you know, but a lot of times I miss having other people on the boat with me to share the experiences, whether we're catching fish or just catching freaking seaweed. You know, so I want to get, you know, friends down there to share that experience with, share that time with, you know, be able to fish all day and then sit and eat dinner, watch the sunset. You know, I love to share that experience with people. Like it is definitely fun alone, but it's definitely a lot more rewarding when you can have people to share it with, people to be there with you and experience that with you. So yeah. So I know exactly what you mean about being out on the boat with your buddy and his dad, and how rewarding that is. So I miss those times of sharing those experiences with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just again, the camaraderie piece, the laughter, just the things you learn and talk about. That has been every experience I've ever had on a boat. I
Yeah.
still to this day don't own a boat, and I can selfishly say one of its biggest reasons is once you get a boat, then you're tied to going out alone. You can't go out with other people. It's like I'd rather go out with somebody with the boat. But
Yeah.
it gives you a reason. It's like, okay, if that's your goal to give back, it's like, well, you're gonna need a boat. You're gonna need a bunch of good tackle. You're gonna need to be able to take people cool places, and that's where the memories are made. That's
Yeah.
where the joy is in the experience. Um, some of our funnest times, at least maybe not yours and mine. Well, I guess even yours and mine, the older skiff just putting around was way more
Yep.
fun than anything else. We've caught bigger flounder on that little skiff than we've caught on the bigger new boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and last year, I had a great opportunity where three of my childhood buddies came down, and my brother, and they came down for a weekend, and that was so cool to be able to spend a weekend with them like we used to back in the day. Fish all day, talk about memories from way back and all the stupid crap we used to do, and catch up, learn about their families now. It's guys that I don't see too often. So it's nice to get together with old people. I have that opportunity where I can have people come down and take, none of them have a boat. So I love that I can give that experience to other people. Like my one buddy, he said, anytime, you want me to come down, I'm willing to come down. If there's no room, I will literally sleep in a sleeping bag on a cot down in the garage if I have to. Like, I just love it here. And, I appreciate it so much. And, that really makes me feel good that, people want to be down there with me experiencing that.
You can ask your mom and tell him that it's just as comfortable to sleep on the porch.
Yeah. But no peeing off the porch. Oh my goodness.
Among other things, got it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, life is a lot better when you can share experiences. Like I said, it is nice to do things alone. It is, having your alone time is definitely important. But when you can have the opportunities to, go out west, go down to Florida, go wherever, you just go on a trip with your close friends, or even, people who you aren't too close with, and maybe you want to grow that connection. Having that weekend long trip is so freaking valuable. You can learn so much about somebody, just sitting on a boat for 8 hours, just talking about life, talking about experiences, talking about business, talking about everything. Or hiking through the woods, chasing deer, doing this or that, sitting around the campfire. It's definitely a lot more rewarding when you can share those experiences with other people.
Yeah, you have nothing to do on a Saturday or Sunday. I want you to all remember that going to work Monday with sunburn on your forehead and big white circles around your eyes, it makes Monday that much better. You're just in a happy spirit, and you got skin peeling, flaking off your face, but you at least got a big smile. And I think that's where whatever you've got going on, prior some time away. Be spontaneous about it too. I mean, go out and just say, "Hey, I've got this window of time. Let's pull this off. Let's go make this happen." And even if you can, budget and afford it all yourself, if you got to share and split the cost. One of my greatest memories in life was a trip to Alaska that was planned in like 3 weeks' time. From the time that we planned the trip to the time that we arrived in Alaska was like 3 weeks. And it was so spontaneous that it was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Alaska?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, when?" I was like, "The plane leaves next week." He's like, "I don't have any money." I was like, "Just get on the plane and we'll figure it out later." And then, I tell those stories just so often. It's just, that was the highlight of the experience. It just is a remarkable, eye-opening, and out of this world experience.
Yeah, I mean, you camped in a freaking back of a U-Haul truck with you and Tyler. You said it stunk like hell, stunk like fish, but one of the best times he's ever had. It's you don't need the you don't always need the luxuries or something fancy to go out and have good experiences. Something simple as renting a freaking U-Haul van and driving all over Alaska, fishing everywhere. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't a U-Haul, it was a salmon van. Rumor has it they put it up for consignment auction when they brought it back to the place.
Oh my God. Yeah, be spontaneous. There's so much freaking opportunity out there. Don't be afraid to just, even if you have to do it by yourself, go out and drive down to the shore, go walking through the woods. You can find a lot of joy in doing things alone. Of course, it's nice to do it with other people, but if you don't have anybody to do it, go out and who knows? Maybe you'll be out there doing it, and you'll meet somebody. Create a friendship, relationship, and have someone to go do with it in the future. Or if you know someone who has a boat or who has a fishing camp, ask them, hey, could I tag along with you sometime? I'd be willing to pay for fuel, gas, bait, whatever, blah blah blah. Offer that up, and some people are going to say no, but some people say hell yeah. They've just been waiting for somebody to ask to join them because maybe they do it alone all the time and they're just afraid to ask anybody to come do it with them. So that's for anything in life. Never be afraid to ask somebody. The worst thing somebody's going to do is say no. You never know unless you ask.
Yeah, and that going alone and you just spontaneously meet somebody is just be open-minded to it. Is just if you're stuck in a shell and kind of huffing and puffing about day-to-day life, it's good to try something different. Just go for a quick ride. I have a river right here next to the house. It's 3 minutes from my driveway. I went out and bought a fly rod and I went down to the river and I met this amazing guy who's giving me tackle. He's giving me advice. He's showing me how to do stuff. Like, here's how I catch fish. And I didn't catch darn fish. I was too busy in the conversation with this guy, just having a great time. And, to this day, he still sends me, I think just today, he actually sent me, I need to respond to him. He sent me a bunch of pictures of him catching fish somewhere and he's just like
Cool.
living it up. So
yeah,
you never know who you're going to meet either. And life is more than just go and priorities. And I mean, some priorities matter, obviously, but
sure.
Getting stuck in this rhythm that's all that matters. And that's all that life is about. Once you just break free from that and go see something different, smell some different air, taste some different food, or, find some new enjoyment somewhere else. It just adds so much meaning to your life.
Yeah. Take risks. Try something new. Try something you never thought you would do. You might go do it and you might realize, hell, I've been missing out on this my whole life. What the heck was I thinking? So don't be afraid to take risks and talk to somebody random. You never know what can come of it. Life's too short and there's so many freaking opportunities in this world. There's so many things that you might be scared to do, but you'll absolutely love. So I encourage everybody to just go be willing to try something at least once. You never know.
Did you catch any more flounder?
No, I caught that one flounder and then I fished in the pouring rain, raining freaking sideways for 3 hours. So I fished from 6:11 till 11 o'clock and I caught that 17.5-inch. And then I caught a dogfish. He was about 3 foot long. He messed up my freaking rig too. So, but it was it rained, it blew like hell, difficult fishing, trying to keep the boat where I want it to be, and the tide's just going too fast and pushing me along too fast to really catch anything. But you know what? It was the first day. I was like, I normally wouldn't go out in that if it was in the middle of the summer. I'd be like, yeah. But first day I had to be out there, and it wasn't that bad. I had my rain gear on. I was dry. I was comfortable, and totally worth it. I don't regret it one bit. It's so nice to be back out on the water in my, where I went Sunday morning, it was, probably one of my most favorite spots in the world. And, it was just felt so good to be back there, regardless of what the weather was, regardless what the day threw at me. It was just nice to be back in my happy spot.
Yeah. I mean, we had an adverse problem. I mean, we didn't have any water movement, so it was just
Yeah.
fishing, had calm, clear water. It was definitely pretty, but it made fishing pretty tough. And you could sight fish for 200 feet.
Mm-hmm.
You're only in 2 to 3 feet of water at most, in most of the areas we went. So it made for a pretty tough day, but we pulled some fish and brought some fish home. Just as much as making the memory, it's like I got a freezer with a bunch of shark steaks in it now. I smoked one of them and made that fish dip, and that fish dip is the highlight. That's something I get to snack on every couple months now.
And every time you eat it, you'll think of that trip.
Think of that trip, and it brings you something to share with others. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to eat all that shark on my own, but make it in moments and prepare it for. We got a company meeting here at the end of the month, and I said, I got to go out and go fishing this weekend, but don't worry, don't feel jealous. I'll bring some of it to our company meeting just to share it with everybody, because I know that's something that everybody's going to enjoy, and it's more than enough for me to just bring something home that I get to share with others. So that's carries on that same effect of how do you pay it forward? You just share the experience with as many people as you can, people who are going to appreciate and value that experience. No matter how big or small it may be, it may not have been crab legs and shrimp on the boat, but shark dip and the mountains of North Carolina will definitely be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, one of the big things I love about hunting, I love to harvest deer. I love the experience of just sitting in the woods. And I love to eat deer meat. But one of the things I really enjoy with my deer meat is I love to give a lot of it away. I give a lot of it away. I give some away to, guys that work for me. I give it away to, friends who enjoy it but don't hunt and don't really have anybody who hunts. So there's a ton of people. I love just giving it away. I'm not going to eat it all myself. It's, I get to say, hey, tell them the experience of, getting the deer and, how the year went and blah, blah, blah. It's just, another conversation piece, and, they're so thrilled. And then they'll message me, oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. It just, it feels good to not only share my story of the experience, but be able to give a piece of that experience to someone else as well.
100%. I think that's, we talk about it every now and then. It's like one of the love languages of food. It's like there's nothing closer to love than going out, preparing it. First off, working to get it, then working to prepare it, and then to give it to somebody else. It's like that is the labor of love. And food like that, wild, natural food, is a great conversation piece, no matter which context it's in.
Sure. Then you'll have a lot of people, I'll never eat deer meat, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I always try and get my freaking mom, but anytime I tell her, here's some meat for you, it's probably venison. I'll get her one of these days.
We'll have to, this summer when we get together, we'll have to do a cookout. Bring some breakfast sausage, and when she asks if it's deer, I'm going to tell her it's squirrel and possum.
Oh, she would
She'd
love
be like,
that.
no, it's not. I'd be like, you're right. It's just squirrel and rabbits.
Yeah, I mean, this past weekend, I took a backstrap with me down to the shore, and originally I was just going to do, backstrap on the grill. I was like, I could go for something else with it. Maybe I'll get baked beans. And I was like, you know what? I haven't had kebabs in a while. So I soaked it in Italian dressing, had, peppers and onions on it. Oh my God, so freaking good. Tip for anybody, if you don't know what to do with your venison, soak it in Italian dressing. It is phenomenal. Any kind of meat in Italian dressing is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
so good.
There's another one is State Fair Speedy Sauce. It's hard to find, but anybody in
What is
North,
it?
it's you can find it in New York. I know you can find it in Pennsylvania. State Fair Speedy Sauce.
State Fair Speedy Sauce.
It's very much like an Italian dressing, but it's more of like a marinade than it is a heavier dressing. Super good.
Well, you're the one who originally taught me the Italian dressing trick back in college.
I was cheap, so
Yeah.
I
It's
evolved.
still just as good.
Yeah,
Uh,
so good.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to do an Elevate and Explore episode with some recipes, or maybe we'll have to do a live cooking show because
I
there's
was just gonna say we have to get together and maybe after a hunting trip or a fishing trip and just cook food and talk, give
yeah
recipes,
the
give life advice.
100%. I had wished something into existence, or tried to wish something into existence. I'd really like to catch like a slot-sized flounder and bring it home
Yeah,
just to deep fry the whole thing.
I remember you talking about that.
Wasn't it you who had one when we went to the restaurant in South Carolina?
Someone got it at the restaurant in Charleston.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. Okay.
I think maybe Joe.
Maybe. Yeah, I saw another one. The restaurant we went to last weekend, they had one on the menu. I was like, "Man, that sounds really good."
Well, got anything else on your mind at the moment?
Nope, just happy living life.
Yeah, yeah.
Been busy. It's been a lot of go. Past couple months, I can't complain. I've had a couple chances to break away and go see some different scenery, and of course, it's all blessings in their own way. I didn't have to go and pay for a hotel. It was just friends and networks that offered up these places to stay, and you kind of feel like a vagabond just traveling and bouncing around again. But it's like, well, that's what I did for so long. It was so much fun then, but I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for it now. Um, a lot of the travel I do now is kind of plan it and go for it. It's a little less spontaneous, but
Hmm.
it's it's definitely a lot more enjoyable. Um, in my opinion, it feels mandatory. And we briefly talked about all the things you get going on in life. You get your personal life, you get some business in there, you get your job mixed in there, you get a relationship mixed in there. Things can kind of pile up and compound. And lately, I think one of the best, most helpful things I've realized, just sit and appreciate what's in front of you.
Hmm.
Um, I've said I've been going to church every Sunday now, and last Sunday I didn't go to church because I was on a fishing boat, but it was in that moment thinking about how do you keep that same mindset and mentality. It's like there's so much more than all these worldly possessions.
Hmm.
There is so much more than a nice house, a nice fishing boat, a nice vehicle, the high paying job. And it's like, if you had nothing at all, what would you ask for? If you had just to completely start over tomorrow, what would be the top couple items on that list that you would be absolutely thrilled to have? It's often food, it's often friends, it's often family, and it's memories and experiences.
Hmm.
So a lot of that does involve having to have income and money and being able to
Sure.
afford it. But those things are now the goal that you're working towards. So whenever you prioritize those, and just the other day I was in this mindset of how do I figure out how to buy. I don't even think I was trying to buy anything. I was just trying to figure out how to pay for putting the concrete in the building. Just trying to budget for it. How much is it going to cost, and where's the money going to come from? What am I going to do? And I said, you know what? I'm not even going to think about it at this time. So I have a couple $100. I'm going to put it in the collection plate at church, and I only put $100 bill in, and that's it. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm not even going to think about it. And then the next day, there's $100 bill sitting in my truck from who knows when. It like popped out of thin air. And then I came home and I had that experience down in Florida and putting it together again. I'm starting to think about, the garden and chicken coop and the building and this and that and everything else. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to stop thinking about it and pay it forward. I want to give, get in the spirit of giving, because right
Hmm.
now I don't need anything. I have abundance in life, right? I have everything that I need. I can give. And when you start with that mindset of giving and sharing, whether you're giving away a package of lemon and bologna to somebody, or you're giving a fishing trip, or you're just cooking dinner for somebody, or maybe you just go out and say thank you to somebody, talk to them, give them a conversation. This mindset of abundance does not revolve around money. Money is not abundant. Money's going to come and go, but the type of person you are and some of these thoughts and emotions and the way that you handle things and the type of person you want to be is abundant, things will all fall into place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I fully believe in, give things away and it'll come back to you, 2x, 5x, 10x. And a lot of my life I always lived, take, and I don't need to give anything, I want it all. And I really changed that perspective. And once I started giving away more things, a lot more has come back to me. So last Wednesday I was at a networking event for Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, and it was a derby themed event. And they had this, they had a cup for all the however many 20 horses there was or whatever, and you could buy raffle tickets, put it in, and they draw it this Monday, after the race, and whatever the running horse was, if you had a ticket in there, they would pull your name out of cup. Well, and then at that event, I ended up meeting. I got talking to this lady and this guy, and of course, where you work came up, and turns out they both. It was the head of school and the assistant head of school of a school I went to from 3rd to 6th grade for kids with learning disabilities. So I talked to them freaking all night, and she offered to me an opportunity to come to the school and speak to the kids. And I didn't even think about it. I was like, all right, let's do it. Like, scares the hell out of me, but going back and giving back to these kids, and talk to them about life, and that opportunities are endless, and keep a positive mindset. Not sure exactly what I'm going to say just yet. I started working on speech, but that's a whole nother topic. But an opportunity presented to myself to give back, and I'm going to go do it. So I'm waiting on get that lined up, whether it'll be in this school year or next school year. I'm going to go do it, and that'll probably be my first public speaking event. So it's going to be really neat to go back to where I was and give back to kids that were in a same exact position I was in one day. So back to the derby drawing, I got a call this morning. Hey, you won the drawing. I was like, no way. That's freaking cool. So it was like $110. And I was like, what, do you have any because it's the Lehigh Valley Chamber, so they're associated with all sorts of people. It's like, I want to donate it back. So I told them to donate it to that school I went to, and messaged that lady today, and told her I won and that I'm going to donate back to the school. And so it's not much, but it's a little bit. And it'd be nice to have that $110 in my pocket, but I feel so much better giving it to a good cause rather than taking it for myself. And I know that'll come back to me, and it's again, I went out, took a chance, I had an opportunity, saw an opportunity, giving back, kind of give back even more, and just see how things go. And it's a amazing freaking circle of life and opportunity. Oh my goodness.
Well, that circle of life is a powerful experience. So I had an opportunity to speak in front of the vocational school that I went to back in high school. I think this is back.
Oh, no way.
At college or just after college. But as part of our senior project, you had to come up with something. And I went back to vocational school, and it's like walking through those hallways again, thinking about like, where have you been since you've been in this building? Yeah. And then standing in front of a bunch of kids, and you're like, which one of you am I? Or which, looking through the crowd, trying to sort out people. And it's a different experience. It's eye-opening for sure. So I look forward to hearing about that.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, being a place where I walk through the same halls and kids sitting in the same exact spot I'm sitting in, and wondering what they're gonna do with life. Just like I was back then, no idea. Young, not young and dumb, but just young and naive, and no idea what life really is. And I almost feel like I almost doubt myself a little bit. Like I'm gonna go talk to these kids, and what have I really achieved? It's made me think, well, where am I in life? What can I truly give back to these kids that would be meaningful? I don't want to go there and give them some happy story that life is amazing, everything's perfect. I'd like to give them a little bit. There's ups and downs, and just keep your head up, and there's gonna be good things, there's gonna be bad things. That's just life. And so telling it as from that point, as of me trying to preach that I'm successful or this or that, no, I don't want to go do that dog and pony show. I want to go and do something authentic and meaningful. So I'm trying to put a lot of thought into what I'm going to go speak to them.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I like that.
Yeah. So that there's just another opportunity where don't be afraid to say yes to things. It scares the hell to me to go do it, and I doubt myself on it, but I know I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do a good job, and what might come out of that, I have no idea, but I'm going to go do it anyway. So don't be afraid to take risks and say yes to things. Not I don't want to say be a yes man and say yes to every single thing, but when an opportunity presents itself, you'll know when to say yes, and just go after it. You don't know what's going to happen, and if anything, it'll be a good learning experience.
Absolutely. Love that.
Yeah.
What would you have wanted to hear sitting in that classroom if somebody was going to be a speaker in front of you? What would have, think of that.
You know what? I asked myself that question, and I was thinking about on my drive down to the shore. I did a lot of speaking into my phone, to record the things I want to say, and you thought about it, and that's kind of how I want to approach it. Is telling kids to hearing that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to not know what direction you're going in life. It's okay to be scared and doubt yourself sometimes, and just to always remember to be yourself, and not put on masks and try and be somebody you're not just to impress this crowd or that crowd. Not everybody's always going to like you. That's part of life. And I think being that age, being with that vulnerable age yet where they still figuring things out, and I think that would be a good message to just be yourself, and be okay with taking risks, and you don't have to have everything figured out. Just try things and see what works, see what doesn't work. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail, but pick yourself up, learn from that lesson, and keep on chugging.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely try new things, experience, meet people,
Mm-hmm.
be passionate about something, and
Yep.
there's tons in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really want to make sure I have it good. I can make a big impact on at least one of the kids' life there. It'll all be worth it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's I think that's something that kind of solidifies, the past couple of months I've been talking about, one day I want to give back to and help young kids with life in general. I always talk about getting kids into the outdoors, and I think this will be a good stepping stone. I have that opportunity to go be in front of kids and finally actually go talk to kids. And the previous week I was at another Chamber of Commerce event at the Boys and Girls School of Allentown, and I got talking to one of the guys who runs a nonprofit, and told him about my idea about getting kids in the outdoors, and he said he has access to 200 or 300 young kids from the inner city that need help, need guidance, and that he works with, and said he'd love to sit down one day and pick my brain and see how we could potentially work together and see how we could make an impact on kids' lives.
hmm I think it's a great cause, and I think, in today's world, there's so much distraction that, even the smallest little upset can change somebody's life just as much as the
Yeah,
smallest little positive, impact can change somebody's life too. And to get around mentors and people who are where you want to be, um, I think that's been my biggest key in life as far as my successes. Uh, is see things from a different perspective. Is get around somebody who can offer advice and tell me, hey, you're doing great, but hey, you're also screwing up.
yeah,
Hearing that you're doing great is just as powerful as you need to, get your act together. And
absolutely.
having that upper level knowledge and experience, if you will, is I think where a lot of the good in the world comes from. Whether it be a spiritual higher power, a positive, you parental figure, mother, father, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Um, I think there's tons of positivity there.
hmm Yeah, I think in nowadays, I think just the fast pace that life goes at and social media, everything digitized, nobody really having face-to-face conversations. I think, there's going to be a lot of challenges with younger kids, in this generation, and they need to have experience of, things other than just sitting behind your phone, and that's life. Get out and experience things, and see that there's more to life than just video games. Like I don't think there's nothing wrong with video games, but I think kids nowadays, just that's a huge part of a lot of kids' lives, and they're missing out on a lot of opportunity of getting out and making friends outside of video games. Just going out and riding their bike around the neighborhood, and go walking through the woods, go play in a freaking creek. All those little things that could make such a big impact on someone's life. um, I think there's a lot of kids who need those things.
We talk about it time and time again of children and helping children, especially people like Josh on the podcast, and
hmm
his perspective. It's synonymous. It's adults. It's people. It is everybody alike has this little hidden blinder on with um, technology and social media and fast-paced life and all these things that are moving. It's like, when was the last time we stopped and enjoyed the fresh air? When was the last time we sat out on the boat and fished in the rain just because we enjoyed the time spending while we were out on the boat? Like,
Yeah,
uh, there's these little hidden moments, and I think the more that we get those experiences out, and people experience that and then can tell that story and tell it to somebody who's now positively impacted by it, I think that's where a lot of good things come from.
yeah, yeah. And I just, I also feel no matter how you're giving back to a community, whether you're working at a homeless shelter, uh, working at a food bank, or this or that, or helping kids, giving back, I feel like just can give you a lot of perspective on life, and seeing how other people have to live, helping the less fortunate, and you can learn a lot from it and really help you appreciate your life a little better.
hmm
And just a lot of those people, I was at a couple weeks ago. I went to an event at the local homeless shelter. They call it the warming shelter. It's through the YMCA, so it's open from October till like the beginning of April. And the guy who runs it, he said a lot of these people in here are freaking amazing human beings. They just, are down on luck. They're just, they don't have a house, and, they come in and they have such good perspectives on life. And, there's a lot of positive people, and, they have, some nights they have 80 people in there just, and him telling all these people's stories, that just really makes me want to help give back, and, help those less fortunate people. And it's really
Okay,
neat to
buddy.
see that there's programs out there already. There's a huge community here in Allentown that really help the now they call them unhoused. politically correct, the unhoused people. It's really cool that they have somewhere to go and get out of the weather when it's negative 10 degrees, 10 degrees, snowing, whatever it is. They have a warm place to sleep at night. They have they're provided dinner every night. It's open from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then they go out. And he even said that there's a couple of college students that live there, that they have just enough money to pay to go put themselves through college, but have nowhere to live. So they'll go sleep there at night, then go to school all the next day. Come back and go do it again. I thought that was really unique, and so it's not just oftentimes when we think of homelessness, we just think that they're all bad people, drug addicts, or just worthless people. Yes, some of them are, but there is a lot of good people who just got in unfortunate circumstances and just need somewhere to stay.
Just need a helping hand.
Yeah, exactly.
They need somebody to give them a chance and an opportunity so that they're able to take it. Some of them.
Yep. Yeah, and then they have a couple people who come there who show a lot of initiative, and then they'll since they know how the whole system works, they have people who live there for a couple of years, and then they get back on their feet, and then they get an apartment or a house, and then they get a job there, and now they're helping people who are in a position that they were in once, and show them that this isn't the end of the world, that there is a way out. So it's not always a perpetual thing that lasts forever. Some people it's just temporary, but it's nice to have those spaces, and nice to have the helping hands to help push people through those hard times.
All in the communal effort of giving back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I encourage everybody to find some sort of way. We're all so busy. I know a lot of us are doing so many things. A lot of us have a lack of funds, but you don't need to have money. You don't need to have too much time. You can do simple thing is when you go to the grocery store, buy an extra can of Campbell's soup, drop it off at the food bank. It's doesn't take much to make a little impact. So there's so many of these small things we can do. Oftentimes when we think of donating, we think, oh, I need thousands of dollars to donate. No, giving $5 out of your pocket, that's a help. Every little thing you can do helps. And it's going to make you feel good when you give back. So I encourage everybody to do a little something, no matter how small.
In the spirit of giving, it's always returned, and it's always returned in multiples. So it's a valiant effort. And whether we're again just giving and sharing blessings and where we've been blessed in life, or if it's just giving all that we have and whatever's left to go towards somebody else who really needs it.
Mm-hmm.
I think those positive impacts they're exponentially beneficial to everybody.
Sure. Cool.
So enlightening.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, we said we are going to keep this short. We're at an hour now, just about.
Yeah.
I love it. We just get talking and things flow.
Yeah. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Good time.
That's another thing is talk to people. You have no idea where a conversation is going to lead. Talk to your friend, talk to your parents, talk to a random stranger. Just see where the conversation goes. And the more you talk, I always used to say, I'm bad at talking, can't hold a conversation. Well, part of it was because I was telling myself I'm bad at it. Tell yourself you're good at it. But just the more you talk to random people, the more you talk to your friends, the more you talk to your family, the easier it makes conversations flow over time. There's going to be a lot of times where you don't really talk much. You're an introvert and you don't like to talk much. You're going to talk to someone. There's going to be a lot of awkward pauses here and there, a lot of awkward silence. But that's the best way to learn how to conversate. Is just go through the struggles of it, and you will get better at it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's. I think you and I were on the call the other day, and you articulated a question or a statement so seamlessly well. And just we're listening back to previous episodes. We have a lot of these, and and moments where we just use filler words. And it's more that you use your speech in creating cohesive thoughts, the easier they flow and the more that muscle is strengthened. And now you can articulate thoughts and feelings and emotions and things on your mind. And it just makes a huge improvement on everything that you do. Is when you get those couple small steps out of the way and you start getting the ball rolling, it's just this just massive effect of a snowball effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you texting me that. I didn't see that till after the episode, and I was trying to think back of what I asked, and I could not remember. I appreciate you saying that, but I couldn't remember what the heck I said. But as for conversation, even if you talk to someone who you completely disagree with, and neither of you can agree on one single thing, it's still nice to talk to those people and hear other people's perspective. You don't always, I think, only talking to people you agree with, I think that's one of the worst things you do, because that keeps your mindset so limited. It keeps you in this little box. I think that's one of the big challenges in the world today is people are afraid to have differing opinions and have a conversation about differing opinions. We all get so upset and bent out of shape when someone doesn't agree with what we say. That's part of life. That's what makes the world go round. Is we're all unique. We all have different perspectives on things, and it's nice to hear another view. Yeah, maybe you don't agree, but now you know how they walk through the world, and you learn somebody. You can respect someone for having differing views. And I know I've met people who have friendships who they are completely different, whether it be politics or religion, and they just don't agree on anything, but they are such good friends. You can always find some sort of common ground with people. So it's just, but you'll never find that unless you have the conversation. So don't write someone off just because they say something you disagree with.
Right.
You
Thankfully,
don't know what you're missing out on.
we've never disagreed on anything.
Nothing big. Little stuff, I'm sure. Nothing pops to mind, but absolutely. You're always, no matter who you talk to, there's always going to be some sort of disagreement at some point. Absolutely. But it's communicating through that disagreement. That's one of the huge things I've learned over the past year is just open dialogue, open communication, telling people what you're actually thinking and feeling instead of hiding it. You don't get anywhere by hiding something and, he made me upset, but I'm not going to tell him. Well, if someone made you upset and you don't tell them, they're never going to know. You just hold a grudge and you're always, well, that person can't change the way they communicate with you if you don't tell them what made you upset or what made you happy, blah, blah, blah. So it's freaking communicate. It's the best thing.
Excellent stuff. I think that gives us a stopping point. My clock's running thin and I've got dogs barking, and I think on the communication piece, we do need to have a really good conversation on it. Communication is so huge in everything that we do, and I think we've put off this episode for quite a while. So I think, coming to a close on this one, we need to bring it up really, really soon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can dive more into communication. Absolutely. Cool.
100%.
Well, another phenomenal episode. See, we're always worried when it's just us two that it's not going to go anywhere. And every time we prove ourselves wrong. I don't know why we're like, oh, it's going to be short. No.
You've got some experience.
That's right. Yeah, the more we do this, I'm so thrilled that we do this. And, thank you for everybody who listens. It's so rewarding and just it feels so good every sitting down with Ryan and whoever else joins us, just having these conversations. It's really changed my life for the better. It's awesome.
Oh, it's definitely a very positive change, and just the aftermath of being able to share experiences and have an open discussion about anything and everything in life. I mean, life is just, coming from a person who used to hate life and was very depressed and miserable and among other things, realizing how beautiful life can be, how amazing it is, how much of a blessing it is to just wake up and realize you've got another day to do something. That has a completely different effect on everything in life anymore. So
Sure, absolutely.
We greatly appreciate everybody, all the listeners, viewers, watchers, whoever's out there. This is another exciting episode of Elevate and Explore, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, everybody.